Hi everyone. So my last video was like kind of strange because I wasn't in it and it was a lot of screen recording. But I'm gonna see if I can fix that. Just because it was very not awkward. I don't think it was awkward, but I was very monotone and I like definitely didn't speak the way I usually do. I was in kind of like teaching mode, I guess. But I'm here to teach the rest of the class of how I color toned and got our model's skin to go from this, if I can figure out how to put a picture in here, to this, if I can figure out how to put a picture in here. But yeah, it shouldn't be too hard, right? Right? So now that we've started with our base layer, which is the dodge and burn layer, which is all finished up, this is what we did last time. There we go. If you'd like to see that video, I'll have it linked below and somewhere here as well. Also, excuse me, I like really wasn't prepared to actually record anything today, so I don't look best. But we're gonna like bypass that, right? Thanks. Sorry. Okay, so now that we have this all done, this is our helper layer that we had last time. I'm going to chuck the helper layer away because we don't need it anymore, and then I'm going to minimize the dodge and burn. I like to go to my adjustment layers, and oh, I hope you can hear me. Maybe I should move the mic over here because my head's going to be this way. Also, yes, my monitor's here, so I'm looking at the monitor. Sorry if I don't make eye contact. Okay, so first I go to black and white layer, and I change the blending mode to luminosity. So luminosity affects the color, the depth and the tone of the colors you're going to kind of change. So itchy nose. I'm going to take so skin tones have reds and yellows and oranges, which is a mix of red and yellow in them. So I'm going to bring those down and deepen them up. And you see how that kind of takes it to a whole new level. All right, so that looks good so far. I really like that. Sometimes if you do it a bit too much, it gets really saturated, it gets oversaturated. And I'm not a huge fan of saturation in my personal work. Sometimes I look at other people's photos and I'm like, man, that's a great photo. And it's like super saturated. However, every time I go to do my own, I never tend to like it for some strange reason. Oh no, I'm going to keep this to normal. So I added another black and white layer. And what that's going to do is that's going to be my desaturation layer. You can just put a saturation layer on here, but I always tend to do black and white, and I don't know why. I think it's just a habit. And I bring that down to about what looks good. I think that looks really nice. I'm sorry if you can hear the music in the back. Yeah, so just turn that off and on to see however you like it. Now, if you want it saturated, feel free to leave it. That is totally up to you. This is just what I do. Editing is so subjective and so different, and I should probably start off with saying that. I don't love overly saturated images. However, the next person in line could. So it's really, you know, this is how you define your style and how people recognize your work for being desaturated or being oversaturated. Or okay. Back to this. Now, she has a little bit of discoloration in her face, and I find her cheeks maybe like a little bit too orange. So we're going to take that down. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to go to hue saturation. Also, when you take those reds down, it really makes her freckles pop, and I love that. All right, so we're going to go to reds, because I see a lot of red tones right here. I'm also in crop tool, which is strange. I don't want to be there. I'm going to go to brush just to get rid of that crop line. So yeah, I see a lot of reds right here, and I don't love it. So we're going to get rid of it. We're going to desaturate it a tad, and we're going to pull it towards the blue side to the right, because that it actually works opposite. So it's actually going to add a bit of yellow and a bit of green to it. All right, that looks okay. Now we're not affecting the entire, we are affecting the entire image at the moment, but we're not going to be affecting the entire image once we're done. So I'm going to take Command I or Control I believe on PC. Could be wrong, sorry. But we're going to invert this layer mask. And how to invert the layer mask, not on a keyboard, you just double click it and it says invert right there. So I'm going to go back to this. We're inverted, and I'm going to take the paintbrush and I'm going to put my flow at about 20%. Okay, oops. Zoom in. I guess we're going to zoom in. And we're going to change the brush size to make it a bit bigger and see where these red spots are. We're going to start painting white over top of it. Perfect. And she's got a little bit of red under her eye. Poor girl. She's a bartender. You know those lives. Those what? English. You know that life. Okay. See, I'm a bit more like talkative and like less awkward when I'm on camera and not just talking at a microphone and a screen. So sorry about the last video, but I do hope it's informative. I might do another one later on when I get a little bit better at YouTube, because I'm still not good. Jessica Kobayashi, if you watching this, if you see me, like, help me out. Or maybe we can collab. Send me a video. I'll edit it. Or video. No, don't send me a video. I won't edit the video. That's not my strong suit. Send me a picture. I'll edit it. It'll be fun. It'll be great. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Her makeup was red, or it was like a pinky reddish, so I'm gonna leave it under her eyes just because it kind of fits the mood. But that looks pretty decent to me. Let's click it on and off and see if we need to change anything. No, it took away that redness over in the corner of her face. Now I'm going to do another hue saturation layer just to get rid of how orange her cheek is as well. That looks decent. So Command I again. And I just made a new layer because I know if I would have continued to decrease the other parts, this part up here where the red was would look really gray. So I'm just going to take like a small, my flow is still at 20%. That might be almost too high, but we'll see. It might have to change the layer after. It almost looks a bit too on the yellow side, and I don't love that. So we're going to put the hue saturation back to normal, but we're going to see what the desaturation looks like. See, I think that looks a lot cleaner and more natural and less orange, because my biggest fear is making somebody look like a Cheeto. Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, that's great. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Now, what I like to do is I might chuck in maybe, let's do a gradient map. So this is what it looks like when it comes up. It doesn't look the best, like it's a little bit freaky, but I'm gonna put that to soft light and drag the opacity to about, let's put 11, 10 for now. And in the other photos I did of her, which you can see right here, she has a very pink kind of base to it and a very warm feel. So I'm going to add a pink one, a pink gradient map. So I'm going to go to my pinks, and I did memorize that. You can play with whatever ones you like. I did use this one, and I know I use this one, so I'm going to continue to use it to make sure that everything kind of stays in a similar feel in these this set of images. Definitely wasn't at 10 because that's a bit too strong. It was probably closer to 3%. And I know that sounds really silly because it doesn't seem like like it's doing too much. But if you turn it on and off, you do see a bit more of that pink flush to her face, which I super like. Okay. Now I'm gonna add another one of those black and white depth layers, but not as strong this time. Oh, I shut off that one. Okay, there we go. That looks much better. Do I like it? I think I like it. This might be too dark for some. It might be too dark for me too. It's really good to go back over your layers every once in a while and go back through your work to see what you've done and what you might or might not like. Now I'm going to show you how I got her eyes to stand out so much. So a really good fun way to do this. Now her eyes are dark already. They're very almost muted. They're a beautiful color, but they're just not punchy. Now don't go overboard with this, and I know I do, and that actually the last edited image might be a little bit overboard, but that's fine. It's fine. We're all fine. So I'm going to take the saturation and I'm going to bump it, and now she looks like a Cheeto. Love it. And I'm going to move it a little bit over. I think that looks good. So I'm really just looking at her eyes right now because we're going to take that layer mask and we're going to turn it to black again. So we're going to invert it. Now, my dodge and burn video does go over what the difference between inverting a layer mask, the difference between a white and black layer mask pretty much. So I'm going to paint over top of that, still at 20%. You can bump this up. That doesn't really matter that much because you're going to want all of that color. Some people don't do too much with the eyes, and honestly, to be truthful, I normally don't. But I think with these close-up shots, a lot of it is on the eyes, and I really like it. So this is just before and after so far. Now to make them even brighter and more poppy, I guess, I'm going to take a curves layer, and I'm just going to bring that up a bit. And so it doesn't affect the entire image, I'm going to click this button right here, which is the clipping mask, and it's going to clip it to the hue saturation layer, which has the eyes already masked out. Now you can definitely go and adjust this a little bit because that's way too bright. So let's take it back. You can always clip it beforehand too to see what you're doing. All right. That looks good. Okay, perfect. Now from the last image, I did crop it a bit. I didn't love the wider crop of it. I'm glad I did crop it in. But that's again subjective, so you're totally welcome to not crop or crop. Also, all of these files, the raw file and the edited dodge and burn file are on Patreon right now, and you can go and get these and work on them too, so you have an image just in case you don't have the ability to go out and take a beauty shot like this. Just want to support me. All of my videos do come out earlier on Patreon than they do on YouTube, so there's also that little bonus. But if you don't want to, feel free to subscribe here and like this video as well, because that would truly help me and I really appreciate it. And I hope to get better at the whole YouTube thing because I do really enjoy it. I'm like a YouTubeaholic. I sit there and I watch YouTube videos constantly and I'm like, I should just start making them. I should just do it. Am I funny? No, but it's fine. I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, so now that we have this base layer, I think it's looking really, really good. I probably won't do too much more, except for sharpen it. So I'm gonna grab all of these layers, pop them in a folder, and name it color. No, if I can spell right. Toning. Color toning, or color grading, or just color, or just not label it. You do you. Alright, so let's turn that off and on. Oh my goodness! What a change. Now at this time too, if you see anything that you don't like, especially through the dodge and burn, you have these layers down here and you can go back. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so that looks good to me. I am happy with all of this. I'm just going to touch up that a bit more. Okay, now I'm going to get into the sharpening bit. This part is super easy. How you do this on Mac is Command Control Shift, and that's going to make a new layer. I lied. It's Command Option Shift, and it's going to make a new layer, and then Command Option E is going to be a stamp visible layer. I'm pretty sure it's Command Control Shift on PC. That's why I messed it up. Okay, so what a stamp visible layer is it pretty much takes a snapshot and a picture of all the work and the process and the layers that you did, and it turns it into a layer on top. So when you, I don't know why I'm using a mouse, when you go and you turn off and on this, nothing should happen because it's just a picture until you go to Filter. You can liquefy it at this point. I tend to not use the liquefy tool too much. Really depends. I might use it right now actually and just pump out her lip, because where her shoulder is coming up, I feel like the shadow hit it in a funny way, but I know her lips are actually not misshapen at all. But I'm gonna do that. Yeah, let's just see. Yeah, it just evens it out a little bit more. I really didn't need to do it, but just where her shoulder comes up here, I feel like it kind of threw off her face. Okay, well, I'm going to make a new stamp visible layer because I'm going to change the blending mode of it. And if I change the blending mode, the liquefy will go away and look really funny. So we're going to go to Filter, Other, High Pass. This lovely little gem is how I sharpen my images. So I'm going to stick around to 8. So this is the radius of the size of the pixel. And you can see here that you can see all the details. So you can see her eyeball and how sharp it is here. And you can see the contrast between the lights and the darks, and that's really what it's doing. And it's in middle gray or medium gray. So that means when you go to Overlay, Soft Light, Linear Light, and all those ones there, it actually changes back to the color. I'll do a video on how to explain that once I figure out how to explain it. I understand it. Explaining it's a different story. All right, so that is that sharpened. If it's too much, you can just lower the opacity. I love a crispy image, so I'm probably not even going to do that. Sorry for all you haters out there. I'll pop this one up beside it. But yeah, they look fairly similar. I think the color toning, I think I spent a lot more time on the dodge and burn on this image. I think it was like 3 hours, where I spent only an hour on this image. But yeah, overall, it's personal preference, it's time-wise and stuff like that, depending what it's for. That is how I color tone. And then you go and you save it or export it. Okay, so stopped screen recording. All right, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something or took away something and watched how I edit my images and how I get the colors and the tones I do. If you think it's still too dark, feel free to loosen off the black and white luminosity layers, or you can just add a curves layer and expose it a little bit brighter. But definitely play with it, add your own twist to it, add a different color grade. That's always super fun. But yeah, I hope I see you in the future, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you like and subscribe and continue to follow me and watch me grow on my path to becoming a YouTuber. All right.